Hi, this session I'm going to show you how to calculate percentage. Some of the questions that I ask, you'll need to know how to get your percentage. So I'm going to start and I'm going to enter some numbers. The spreadsheet that I'm using is Excel, but I'm going to explain the theory to what I'm doing as I'm going along. You can use your Libra Calc, and the commands are basically the same for both Excel and LibreOffice Calc. So I'm just going to choose some numbers just off the top of my head, because the actual numbers that's going to go into this column here, I'm just going to highlight it here if it will cooperate with me. I'll just give it a nice light color so we know what we're dealing with. Okay, there, that looks pretty cool. So okay, I'm just going to enter some numbers in this column. Okay, I'll use I'm just trying to decide to use single, double, or triple digits. I think I won't exceed double digits. So we'll put in 3, 9, 5, 8, 20, 15, 16, or 13. I'm just choosing these numbers just as they come to my head. Here's one that I like. Okay, so I mean I could keep on going down this list for eternity to do these calculations. So what we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got a series of 8 numbers. Later in when working out some more advanced statistics, that you'll need to know, but for this here, the actual numbers here is not really important. The first thing now you have to do is that you have to total these numbers up in order to do your calculation, your probability, or excuse me, your percentage calculations. So both Excel and LibreOffice Calc has a nice way of doing it. So on your keyboard, press your equal, then take your mouse and click on the upper number. Okay, I got ahead of myself. Scratch that out. So I'm just going to escape. So we're going to again start with the equal, and we're going to type in sum. S-U-M, opening bracket. Now take your mouse and click on the upper part, and holding your left mouse key down, drag down, or whatever your equivalent is on your laptop, and now enter the closing bracket. And I'm doing it with shift, and it's right above the 0, and then I press enter. Okay, so that's our base number that we're going to be working from. So I'm just going to give it another color for our base number. So, okay, so now we're going to find the decimal for each of these numbers relative to the 142, because the 142 is the total sum of these 9 numbers. So in order to do that, you can try it with your calculator. The rules are the same. So what it is, you have to divide this these columns, these independent numbers into this total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press shift and my plus. That tells the spreadsheet that you're working with a number, not text. So then I go over and I put my mouse pointer over the 3 and I click onto it. Now you see a cell that's coming up here. So on your keyboard, you find your forward slash mark, which means divide, and I click on that. Now I come down and I click on this 142. And as you see, we've got H14. Now to make life simple, I'm going to do a cut and paste all the way down here. It's just to make life simple. But if you don't make this change, it's not going to work. So what you have to do, before the H, you have to put your dollar sign. Hold your shift and then your 4 key, which will be your dollar sign. And I do the same thing before the 14. So what that says is, don't change this cell. That's important because that means that this number will always stay the same as long as you have the dollar sign before the column and the dollar sign before the row. Very, very important. So, okay, now I have that. I'm going to do my cut and paste. I'm using Control C, and I think for you on a Mac, it's Command C, or excuse me, Command C. Yeah. So I'm holding down. I've now pointed to the cell below, and I'm holding down my left mouse button, and I'm dragging it down. Now I'm going to do a Control Command V for paste. And here we have now our decimals. So our decimal, we're going to, give that a color. Just again, it's just for for visual memory. So I'm going to go from. I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to go. So okay. I think I'll go yellow on that. So okay, now you have your decimal. So what you need to do is, I'm going to show you one way, and then I'm going to show you another way. One is in the event that you're using your calculator. Rather than using calculator, I'm going to use the spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is hold down my shift key, hit my plus, come over to here, and now I'm going to times it. Now it's the asterisk, I believe is what it's called. It's located above the 8 key on your keyboard. Holding your shift key down, press your 8, and you get your times. So to turn that decimal into a percentage, you have to times it by 100. And there it is. It's 2% point. Whatever. It's we could round it down. If we want to make life easier. Again, what I did is I right clicked on my mouse to format cells, and it's the same for LibreOffice Calc as it is for Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to go to Format Cells. I'm going to right click onto it, and since it's just a general number, I'm going to tell it to just 2 decimal places. So there it is. That's your 2%. Your 2%. So we're just going to do a cut and paste. So we have our we've now converted our decimals into percentage points. So that's all nice and cool. Now if you look up here, it's got that equals plus J5 times 100. I go down to this next one. And now we have first is J4 times 100, J5 times 100, J6 times 100, J7 times 100, J8 times 100, J9 times 100, J10 times 100, J11 times 100. Okay, so that was the mathematical way of of getting your percentage. Now, if you want to use your spreadsheet, what we're going to do is we're just going to copy the J column, our yellow column, and again the same thing. You can either use plus or equal. I haven't tested it on Office Libre. So okay, so I just press my enter, and that's going to give me that value. And I'm going to do a cut and paste again. Copy, and I'm going to paste it down. And basically the numbers will repeat themselves. I mean, what you're actually doing is copying column J, the yellow column, to column L. And Control or Command V. Okay, so we now have that. It's a mirror of our yellow column, and we want to turn this into a percentage, but without having to do the math. You know, multiplying the decimal by 100 to get the percentage. So, okay, so I'm going to again highlight everything. So with my mouse, I'm holding, like I'm using a mouse. I don't know what it is on the laptop touchpad. I find it very cumbersome, so I don't use it. So I've now highlighted that, and with my mouse, I'm going to right-click to get to my format. And okay, format cells. And this time here, I'm going to go with percentage. And set my decimal to 2 places. You know, you could set it to 1. We'll just set it to 1. It'll just remove the zeros and round off to the nearest. So okay. Press enter. And voila. Now the reason is, I mean, you see that's 48.59%. But because we removed the zeros, it rounded itself up. Anything that's over 5 and over 0.5 and over, it rounds up. Okay, just quickly, I'll just go back. What I just did there was right-clicked on my mouse, and now I'm going to left-click on Format Cells, and we'll put our 2 decimal point in there. So, you know, there it is. There you have it. So to wrap things up very quickly, what we did, I first put these numbers out of random to get my total. Here I used the sum function of the spreadsheet to get my total, and we see that here. The equal, type in sum, open bracket. Now the column is H, 4 is the row, 2, and that little colon says the range between H4 and H11. The H is the column, the 11 is the row. And if we take a look, there's our 11, there's our 69, and our H4, there's our column H, and there's our row 4. So we've got our total. Then we had to get our decimal. And you know how we did that was we did it mathematically to get our decimal. Excuse me. Yeah, we did it mathematically. What it was is that, you know, I divided this number into this number, and as you see, that H, that $H, $14, as we go down, it stays the same. So the next step that we did it again mathematically, because we had to convert this into a decimal, and we're doing it manually. So there we took this number, which is stored in this cell, J4, that's the number that's stored in J4, and we multiplied it by 100 to get 2.11%. We did a cut and paste, down to save ourselves some time. Then the final step, we just copied this cell over to column 11, and we used the spreadsheet's function of decimal, which did it automatically. When you use the spreadsheet's function, you don't have to worry about doing the multiplication by 100. The spreadsheet automatically does it. So with this information here, you can do it either by calculator or by spreadsheet. But if you use calculator, you've got to always divide that number into your total sum. Else it won't work. On the spreadsheet, we're doing the same thing, but we're doing it digitally. That's the only difference. Now, just to do a final test, see that we are talking here percentages. So I'm just going to do a cut and paste here again. Control, Command C, and I'm going to highlight that, and I did that by holding my mouse and dragging. So Control or Command V, and you see that comes up to 1, which is really 100. Here, total it up, 100, and percentage. So okay, to prove, here comes the proof. I'm going to go to format my cell. So like I earlier said, click on your right and then on your left, and we're going to go to percentage, and I'll leave the 2 points in, and it gives us 100. I won't bother doing, well, I can do it here as well. Format cells, percentage, and I'll just take the zeros to keep, whoa, that's, no, okay, that, strike that one out, because that was already a percentage, so it did a percentage of a percentage. My bad, sorry, it might confuse you there. That was, yeah, so yeah, you can't put the you can't do a percentage on percentage. Okay, so on this group here, we can, because our number isn't in a percentage here. It's in a whole number. So we format, we go percentage, and I'm going to leave off the 2 zeros. So it's just going to be 100%. So that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully that will help you calculate percentage, or at minimum serve as a review.